doing this with us. So we've been experimenting, and this year we've been able to have a couple of webinars with our alums, and we really hope to build the alum network. And I think the webinars give us a fantastic opportunity to learn from our alums as to what their journey has been through Vedica, post Vedica, and why did they do Vedica, and also the industry that they are a part of. So I think our alums are now really enriching us in that way, yeah, helping us understand. So welcome to you. Thank you very much for doing this with us today, and for everyone. I think there's Nikita, there's Chandana, and there's Keshin. So we are also today, we're gathering here to understand about Pratima's journey from the space of being in like engineering and then moving on to ed tech professionally, and also basically how her journey has been even as a Vedika scholar. So also just to introduce that currently Pratima also has been like she's already done her program at Vedika in the third batch, right? And she's also currently working at upGrad. So this journey not only to so of course it says roadmap to upGrad, but I think the journey is more to understand the space of the ed tech. Hi, Pragati. Thank you for joining. And we also have with us Kunal. Kunal, of course, takes care and supports strategy for admissions and marketing at Vedica. So, Kunal, if you would like to share something before we begin.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for joining. I can recognize a lot of names that are here. Khe, Chandana, Nikita, and Pragati. You've already, I think, at some level, you've already interacted with us. So I'm glad you could be here, learn a bit more about one of your alums, and we're going to shine some light. We're going to ask Pratima some basic general question, and we're going to drill her on how she made this jump from engineering to education. And being an engineer, nice to. Can you hear me?
Yeah, better now.
Yeah, it's always nice to hear how you make these transitions and what gives you the confidence to do the same. So welcome everyone, and thank you for being here on time. Let's begin.
So to begin with, Pratima, can I please request you to introduce yourself? Maybe, throw some light on how your journey was before Vedika, what prompted you to come to Vedika, and what have you done post that? So we could spend about 5 minutes around that and then move, into like questions which we have, and also others. Please feel free to type out your questions in the chat box while we're in this discussion. Over to you, Pratima.
All right, thank you, Ananya. Thanks, Kunal. I might take a bit longer than 5 minutes, but I'll try to wrap up. All right, so I think I'm very excited to sort of have and sort of thanks for joining today's session. Today's Friday, and maybe you would either be in some of the other interesting places, but you decided to join this session. So thanks a lot. I'll just not take much time. I'll quickly introduce myself. I think Kunal has given a brief about me transitioning from engineering to EdTech. So I actually done my electrical and electronics engineering from VIT Vellore in 2014 is when I graduated. From to give you a sense, right? I was like in VIT also like a very nerd kind of a student, I would say. Somebody who would be there on the first bench, sort of studying hard, getting marks, grades, right? That kind of student I was when I was in VIT. And I'm telling you all of this because when I was doing my engineering, I was very sure that I really want to get into technical roles, right? And pure play electrical or electronics role. So there are people who during the course of engineering realize that okay, engineering is not for me and I will figure out something later. But for me, what happened was I was very much fascinated with the concepts being covered in electrical and electronics. In fact, at some point in time, I used to envision myself doing some earth-shattering discovery in electronics and all. I also had a patent, by the way. I actually designed an novel inverter, right, which reduces your energy power and all of that. So I was that much involved in my electrical and electronics as a domain, right? So during I was very much sure that I really want to pursue this field further. And during my engineering, I also sort of charted my map that okay, now I will do GATE, I'll give GATE, all of these exams and go for good universities for my masters. And then I gave GATE exam. I'm not sure how many of you know it. It's basically a postgraduate exam that you need to do to get into good institutes to do your masters. So I did from electrical. I got 266 All India rank, and then I got into IIT Hyderabad. And once I landed up there, I was very excited that I'll start and do all of those things. The experiment time begins, and I will do some kind of innovations. And I think the 6 months I was in IIT Hyderabad, I was just in a reflective mode, a very different person. I was a little bit more doubtful about my plans and all of those things. I felt that this is maybe not something that I was envisioning a research or an innovation career would look like. And at that point in time, I was still sure that I want to build my career in power electronics and electrical. I was not doubting that, but I thought that, okay, maybe IIT Hyderabad is a new IIT. Maybe they don't have the kind of facilities as required and all of that. So I was still not doubting myself. I was doubting that, okay, maybe the atmosphere is not right. And I applied for better universities. I thought that, okay, maybe once I am in a right environment with the good facilities, maybe that is when I will get the chance to really experiment and all of that. And then I moved from IIT Hyderabad to NUS Singapore, so National University of Singapore. I got a 100% scholarship to study and research on power electronics field there. So I went there in 2015, and the first semester I sort of worked. I got my lab, everything sorted, and while I doing my experiments and all of that, I started questioning myself that what will I do once I'm done with the masters over here. And it was research master. I chose to do the research as I was very sure about it. And I think I did not see myself doing that as a career for a long term. Something did not felt right, despite I having all of the facilities, all of the ecosystem that I was questioning earlier. And I think that is when I did a lot of soul searching, and then I sort of took some hard calls for myself. I spoke to a lot of my mentors in NUS and also people who were working in power electronics or electrical as a field over there, as to what they do and all of that. And I explored and tried to understand, and I realized that power electronics, although for 4 or 5 years of my life I was planning to do that, now that I have it, I don't think this is something that gives me happiness, gives me satisfaction, though I was good at it, but not something that I wanted to commit to for a longer period in time. And that is when I sort of took a hard call for myself, and I started thinking about things that really gives me satisfaction, not really monetary benefits. I was not concerned about financial or commercials at that point in time. I was just concerned about my satisfaction and inner happiness. And I think I realized that throughout my engineering, I was the one people come to just before the exam to sort of get some tips and tricks to study a little bit here and there to pass the exam. So I was like, maybe deep down I was, very happy teaching, simplifying things for others and all of that. So I thought that maybe I should sort of, give teaching a shot and see how it pales out. So this is how I was sort of, transitioning myself from hardcore engineering to now sort of something that might give me satisfaction and happiness. Again, not very, very sure, but I was in an exploratory mood back then. And then I decided in 2015 September that, okay, I will pull out the plug, move back to India. Did not have a very stable job. I just dropped out because I was sure that I don't want to do this. I wasn't sure that what I really want to do, but I committed myself to explore and see what will really give me satisfaction and happiness. Money part, I did not really I did not consider that as much at that point in time. Not that I had a lot of money, but I was just prioritizing my satisfaction and happiness over anything at that point in time. And then I joined Avanti Fellows after dropping out of and of course, I mean, you can ask questions related to how I convinced my parents and all of that. That was like a very, very huge story for another day. But I came here and I landed in Bombay. And I started teaching maths and physics for people who wanted to crack IIT JEE, people who were from sort of wanting to give NEET exams or mains, advance, all of that. And I was good at maths and physics, so I started sort of doing. So I started teaching that. A lot of my videos are there on YouTube, but this time I was pure play teacher and educator. I was not looking at the organization-wide strategy, managing things, nothing of that sort. Pure play teacher and educator, right? Now, while I was doing and sort of working here, I realized that there was this one point after a year, I realized the need of upskilling. I felt that, there are still gaps. And right now, although I'm teaching and sort of, pure play, creating content, I wanted to also play a larger part in sort of, scaling my impact further from one classroom to say 100 classrooms and 1,000 classrooms. And how do I do that? And I started questioning that, what what skill sets or what do I need to sort of get there. And that is where I realized a gap. And I realized that I lacked like a proper mentor in the industry, right? And I think that would be obvious because I was from the engineering background, moving to education. I did not have a very good set of mentors who I could go for advice. So I think that was one part that I felt I really needed it at that point in time. The second thing was a lot of stakeholder management, because as you grow in the organization, you are dealing with a lot of internal, external stakeholders, senior leadership. So for that, you require a very different kind of skill sets, right? Different kind of things that you need to know. So now there are a number of ways that you can do it. Either you continue sort of doing what you're doing, and with experience you will get there. The second is if you sort of get yourself enrolled in some of the programs that can actually help you get there, it will be faster. And that is when I started looking for programs or mentorship programs specifically who can help me do that. And I happened to discover Vedica Scholars Program, and instantly, like I was going through the website and everything, the curriculum was amazing, right? I've not seen a MBA program teaching not just traditional courses, but a lot of focus on mentorship that I was actually looking for. A lot of and another important thing that really for me was interesting was the personality development track, right? And I think that was also, I realized I needed at that point in time. Liberal arts, of course, was an add-on for me. So for me, the curriculum was very, very interesting, and I thought that if nothing, irrespective of yeah. So irrespective of the job or the career aspect, of course, I'll talk about that as well. That was very, very useful for me. But curriculum itself really fascinated me, and I felt that if nothing, I will learn a lot and I'll become a more improved version of myself after doing the program. And I applied for the program at that point in time. Yeah, and after I mean, I'll talk about a little bit about my Vedica journey, etc. But I completed my Vedica, and I was focusing on doing something on edtech and education as a space. And I got placed from Vedica in a company called Inspira, which was a digital arm of Narayana Institutes based out of Hyderabad. So I worked there for a year. I helped them set up their digital division, converted all of their physical brick and mortar coaching into online learning space. And when the pandemic happened, they were actually able to use a lot of these infrastructures. So I was very happy that whatever we created, they were able to utilize, and a lot of learners were not impacted adversely by pandemic. And after a year in 2019, I actually joined upGrad as a program manager. And in the last 2 years, I've grown from program manager to a senior program manager role. I started with one MBA program, and now I handle like a portfolio of all the MBA programs that upGrad has, working professional MBAs. To give you a sense about my current role at upGrad, right? So I'm working as a senior program manager, and my role is a mix of three things. One is product, second is your strategy, and third is a lot of project management and stakeholder management. So product is basically your entire thinking of learning experience, curriculum, how do you design all of it. So I sort of, take active part in designing the learning experience along with the university that we partner with to ensure that the learners get the right outcome. And then, of course, how you sort of, not just the learning element, but how you teach all of those things, how learners are going to interact with you throughout the program, all of those things. The second aspect, as I mentioned, is strategy. So a lot of my time also goes in deciding what kind of program should we be getting in. How do we sort of, go to market for some of these programs? What kind of learners, TG, all of those ideation, right? The strategy level decisions and calls that needs to be taken is something that I'm involved in. And of course, the third bit, as I mentioned, a lot of stakeholder management. So I work very closely with a lot of international and Indian universities, industry experts. So a lot of relationship management goes into play as a part of my role, because it's a senior role at upGrad. So I need to ensure that we are building right relationships with all of these partners so that we get sort of the best out of all the partnerships that we have. So yeah, I think this is in a nutshell the role that I have, and I'm sort of enjoying a lot. I think two things that is there throughout my career is that I enjoy working whatever I work on, And the second is all of these things that I work on gives me a lot of satisfaction. I see impact immediately, not if immediately, at least at a shorter span. I see how my work is actually impacting real time learners, students. So that really gives me a lot of satisfaction and motivation. So yeah, in a nutshell, this is about my journey from engineering to back to India, from teaching to now sort of playing a larger role in the larger edtech company. But if you have any questions, specific questions, you can either put on chat or you can unmute yourself and ask related to Vedica, or otherwise I can sort of happy to take and deep dive on those as well.
Kunal, any questions?
Oh, no questions. Please continue. Questions are about to come.
Okay, so maybe I think we were very keen to understand, Pratima, you've shared in a nutshell about your journey, and I think it's amazing, to also have the courage to be able to do this. I mean, especially in India where we're so conventional, and the way we look at, careers and the way we look at education by and large is something which is very, it's in a structure, it's set, right? But you've really tried to, in that sense, break the glass ceiling, and you've tried to really push boundaries in that sense. Talk to us a little about what do you feel in terms of your transition from hardcore engineering to edtech? Like, A, are you happy about the transition? B, what is the kind of satisfaction you're deriving out of this space? And C, what is the kind of future that you see, yourself in for the next 10 years?
Got it. So I think to answer your first question, like the transitioning and whether I'm happy, of course, I'm super happy about the transition that I was able to do. It was hard, of course, in 2015-16. I was a very different person. I was doubting myself for everything, because 4-5 years you plan for something, you get there, and then suddenly you see that, okay, no, this is not what I planned for. So that was a very different struggling phase for me. But now I'm a very happy person. I feel that it was like the transition happened for a reason. I derive a lot of satisfaction from the work, as I mentioned, that I do. I think I'll tell you, right, in engineering, while I was doing and I was working on the lab, right, the NUS Singapore lab, I was looking at people who were coming at some fixed time, going there and then doing work, of course, good work over there. But I thought that, the work that they were doing, if, say, for example, if I am not there tomorrow, will it stop? It won't stop. Will my research see a day of the light? And I felt that maybe it won't immediately. And I saw that, there are so many people who are doing a similar work, maybe with a little bit tweaking here and there. And I think that sort of, gave me some some doubts that this is not something that I really want to spend a lot of my time and energy in. And I think that was the call. I mean, I think the driving factor for me was to see the impact, and I was not seeing the impact of my work there. And now when I transition into an education field, either I create content, or if I'm designing programs, or if I'm working with the real-time learners, I immediately see the impact. It could be positive, negative. Sometimes we get critical feedback also, but at least we get to see who are our users or the learners who are sort of going through our program. How are they getting impacted? We hear a lot of successful stories from the learners, and I think these are some of the elements that give me a lot of satisfaction personally. So I think that I am very much satisfied with what I'm doing now. The transition after the transition has happened. I think the second thing you mentioned about the career, right? How do I see myself? So I think instead of talking about myself, I'll also sort of spend some time thinking, sharing some details around the edtech and the education as a space and how it has evolved, right? So when I started working in the edtech space, Avanti was my first company, and they were in the edtech space. I used to really Google what edtech is, and then this one Wikipedia page used to come in with some technology, some definition used to come in, because not so many companies were there back then who were starting and in the edtech space, right? So of course, naturally, everybody was just teaching or doing some video recording, and that used to be like limit of what edtech can do. But to be very honest, like, EdTech is not just about online teaching or recording. It's basically use of technology to create scalable impact through good education and through good learning experience. So now what we see is, right, if you look at just the numbers in 2018, since 2018, if I'm just tracking the industry for the last 3-4 years, in India itself, around about 1,800 startups have emerged in EdTech only, like 1,800 startups. And worldwide, that number is like a lot more, maybe double and triple that size. If we talk about funding, I think the pandemic was a watershedding moment for the EdTech and the education space in general. EdTech in particular, I think we've got in total, right? I'm not talking about the higher education space, but in total, we've got about 5 billion funding coming in during the pandemic time itself. And Byju's, as you know, right, one of the the startup that has got the most funding, and a lot of acquisition is happening around it. A lot of innovation is also happening within the company, and this is in the K-12 segment. So I think education and EdTech as a space is now emerging. So I would, if I were to draw parallels, what e-commerce was in 2009 to 2010, that watershed movement is now for EdTech, and even there's a lot of scope, right? It's not just about commercials, but a lot of scope for solving real problems, and innovating to solve and sort of provide solution that is beneficial for a lot of students, not just in K-12 segment but in higher education space also. So if we were to look at education as an industry, there are 4-5 segments through which you can define, right? One is your K-12, second is your test prep market, third is your higher education, fourth is your upskilling, reskilling space. Then there is a small segment where a lot of other extracurricular, a lot of players have emerged into extracurricular space as well. So I think a lot of people who are now working in EdTech space solving one problem, I think it's a good space for us, all of us in general. The reason is that because so many good minds are working in the EdTech space, I'm sure that there are problems that needs to be fixed, but a lot of good solutions will emerge, the way people are learning, the way people are looking at the education. So I think, Ananya, you were talking about breaking the glass ceiling, and sort of people are still limited by traditional way of teaching, and looking at degrees and certificates in one way. But I think all of these things that are happening in EdTech space is definitely going to change that mindset for sure. People will no longer just look at getting education as one time thing. It is going to sort of become like a lifelong learning, as we say at upGrad, right? This is how it will become. Even now, right, while I'm working, it's not that my learning engine has stopped. Like, I continuously learn. Weekends I spend some time learning something or the other that will help me be more effective in my current role, and also help me transition into better sort of roles in the times to come. So I think, Ananya, as you were talking also, I think EdTech and the education as an industry has a lot to offer yet. We have just, I would say, scratched the surface. And for me, I think in the next 10 years, I see myself growing in the education space only, sort of, taking up more responsibilities, taking up right now. So, for example, my role, whatever I could contribute is maybe on an organization level, but I would also want to do something significant that may actually also help change or shape the industry in a positive way to some extent. So if I could sort of create that kind of impact in whatever I have learned or will learn, I think that is how I see myself. Designations and all, of course, I mean, I'm not very much picky about that, but of course in 10 years time I want to grow into the space only, not moving any industries or changing landscape. So yeah, I think that is how I see myself growing in the next 10 years. And I think education and EdTech as a space has a lot of complicated problems yet to be solved. So I don't think there's going to be a lack of problems that would require attention.
Right. No, thanks very much, for sharing, going all out. And I think something which came to my mind while you were sharing is, or rather, to recap what you have shared, I think what you're sharing is moving to the EdTech space gave you this sense of gratification in a way to be able to solve and help people and see the kind of immediate impact, which maybe being in a more engineering kind of role did not offer at that time. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, you can be, so in engineering, I was good at engineering and I thought that's my calling. But I think when I sort of, experienced all of those, I realized that, you being good at something and you derive satisfaction from something else, it doesn't necessarily have to be one same thing. So I think from earlier I was thinking that, this is my calling, I should just do something on that. But I think with my experience, I realized that this is not something that gives me more satisfaction, but education, because there's an angle of giving back, there's an angle of seeing positive impact. So all of those really help. I mean, these are the things that really drive me. So yeah.
Right, right. So Kunal, was there a question in between? Yeah. Do we want to go to Pragati's question?
Yes, yes. So questions are start rolling in, which is great. Pragati, Pratima, Pragati is asking, does a certificate course create any problem in switching jobs? I think you will be great at answering this at this point.
No, not at all. So I think this is the greatest myth that I want to bust right now. When I was joining Vedica, I was also apprehensive. In fact, before I signed up and said yes to it, I also made just one visit to Delhi just to meet the people in Vedica who is running program, because I was that skeptical. The reason is because I dropped masters twice. So I wanted to be sure, okay, this is the program that will help me get better. So it was a certificate program. It did not really, if at all, it has only helped me do better transitions professionally. And I'll tell you right now, the education or the job market is such that beyond a point, nobody really asks you which college you are from or what degree you have. People really look at you from the standpoint that, okay, as a person, this is my role, this is my job, this is what this is what I want to get done. Are you the person who can do that? And you need to, as a person, show during your conversations, even during your experience, you need to learn those hard skills, soft skills, to ensure that you can sort of excel in that role. And I think the skills is what matters. And during your conversations with the companies or in any of the roles that you want to get in, you need to be able to I mean, knowing is one thing, but you also need to be able to show that you know all of those things and can do the job well. And I think that is what is needed at this point in time, is what I feel. I don't think certification, no certification, or degree or no degree will help or not help so much. Unless you have skills, you will be able to crack any kind of interviews and rules and get in. So I don't think certification I mean, it is not going to create any problem. It will not help you. It will in fact help you switch. And if you join again, if you say take a call of joining Vedica or other certification programs that you feel might help you bridge that gap that you've identified, I think you should go ahead and do that. Um, it will only give you a lot more opportunities. It'll help you explore and widen your horizon to the opportunities and the perspectives that even you may not have thought about. So I think definitely not a problem. In fact, a lot of I don't know whether you have Pragati seen some of these new programs that are emerging. Say, for example, Newton School is one. There's upgrade, there is product school. So these schools are basically what they give you certification. They provide at the end you a certification, but a job guarantee or a role switch guarantee. So that if they are able to create a market for themselves, that also speaks that the recruiters or the employers are no more looking for a certain degree or a certificate. What they're looking for, a skilled person who can do the job well. And these companies that I just quoted, they are just helping learners train and get themselves trained into a particular role and to transition. So I'm sure, like, I just want to buzz that myth that it doesn't really it just helps you if you upskill, no matter whether it's a certificate, diploma, degree. Upskilling is important, and that's all.
Yeah, Pratima, if I may ask you a follow-up question, which I think will help in understanding this better. Say, if this is something you can talk about as well. Say, when you sit for an interview and before you went to upgrad, when you sat for an interview for upgrad, I'm sure Vedica would have come up. So how do you end up, I guess, justifying the Vedica experience, and how does it go with an interview?
I think definitely people do want to know what Vedica is and what you. But I think more than they were not concerned. So, for example, I can take my own example. They were not concerned about whether I've done an MBA, whether I have an MBA degree or a diploma or a certificate. The question never hovered around that. I think how I was able to justify is that what I had what were my key takeaways from the program, what did I learn, because they want to understand that you are not somebody who are just randomly committing to certain things, not learning, you're not like having any visibility of your own career. So they want to
Understood.
know that you are sort of going for a particular program with a certain aim in mind, and what are your learnings, are you the one learning certain things, nuances from the program or not. And I think the other thing that, as I mentioned, that for every, and it's very different, everybody has to build in their own story, but for me, I think I had some gaps in my own personality, I identified those, and I actually chose Vedika so that it can help me bridge those gaps for myself. And during my interviews, I was able to very honestly speak about those and how Vedika as a program has really helped me become that. And it was also evident in my conversations with them. They were able to see, maybe no, they were not able to see before Vedika, but they were able to see after Vedika what kind of person they are dealing with and going to work with. So it's sort of, you just need to show what you have learned, and beyond that, I don't think people are so much. And yeah, I think also another thing that helps is because the founders, right, Anuradha Das Mathur, Pramatra Sinha, and couple of other
Right.
on board, they are very, very credible people. So you also need to because it's not just about the program, but the people who are behind this program and the vision of the program. So you also need to talk about them if you want to sort of build in their story that these are the kind of people and this is their vision of the program. A lot of time people buy the vision of the program also, right? So I think all of these things can definitely help you during your interaction or interviews, definitely. Another thing that I want to highlight is that feel free. I think networking is not I mean, people sometimes shy away from networking. I think in Vedica we have got a lot of chance to interact with very good faculties who I connected even after my program, and a couple of them I also tried to get on board for my MBA programs in upGrad, sort of tried to get them on board so that they can help us create content. So I think. Networking is very, very useful. So I think and positive networking, like you don't have to go and network with each and everyone, but once you identify that these are the kind of people who might who you can add value to, or they can also help you, I think you should try and sort of get good work, like try to get a good relation going with them. uh, so yeah, I think that also helps. So if you are not just interview, but even to get a call from the interviews, if somebody can refer you to a particular company or role, that just eases out your overall work. So,
Thanks, Pratima. I think I will not add on more to that. I think you fleshed it out very well. And I hope it also answers your question, Pragati. I can take up a few more questions. I'll continue to do that, Ananya, and then you can ask one of yours. Okay, so Sheen Khair is asking, what courses at Vedica helped you best navigate your first job role right after Vedica and your current role at upGrad?
got it. So I think there are 2-3 courses that I can think of. So I think there was one course on project management series. This was by
Kaustav,
Chakravarti,
yes.
yeah, who has taken this. I was so during the program also, I really liked going through the program. I felt the program, the entire course was designed very, very practically, application oriented. I mean, I'll tell you. So there was this one incident where we were working in a group. We had some issues within the group. I went to the professor saying, "Oh, okay, this is not working out," and he was like, this is not the way of you dealing the situation. If it happens in your company, will you go and say, okay, train my team because it is not working out? You have to fix within your. And I was just like, what? Why did you say that my grades will get impacted and blah blah? But I think now, this learning really helped, because in companies you don't have that option to get your team change, role change. You have to work with your team. You have to make do with whatever you have and do good work. So I think project management series was one course, because they taught us a lot of things, frameworks around project management, stakeholder management, identifying a problem, and then prioritizing which problem or part of the problem you want to tackle in, and also the stepwise or structured thinking, I would say. A course was around those things, and it has really helped me even now. So for example, as I mentioned, that half of my, like, part of my role is also around project management of the whole programs that I do. So it really helped me. So I think that is one course that I still use day in day out in my current role. I think the second course that I want to talk about, I am I think not recalling the name of the faculty, but there was a there was this course on communication, speaking, effective speaking, I would say, where they helped us sort of, gave us a lot of gyan around how you do effective public speaking, how you give your first TED talk, all of those things. So I think that particular course really helped me, because a lot of nuances were covered as to, when you're speaking in group, when you're speaking one-on-one, when you're speaking in public, what are some of the things that you can sort of, use so that, you are more effective. And I think those are some of the things that I still use it. There was a course on communication that was taken by multiple speakers, Professor PT and a couple of other speakers also who have taken the course. I think from there, a lot of focus were on, how you prepare for the meetings, after meeting, what happens, how do you communicate with stakeholders who might have different objectives or goals. So I think the course was around that negotiation, and that particular concepts of that course, some of those techniques or the case studies that were discussed are very, very relevant even today. So a lot of those things come handy when I sort of, work and navigate through the day-to-day dealings of the day. So I think, yeah, these were some of the courses that were really useful. And there was one more course which I remember, personal finance, that was not related. I'm not using it professionally, but personally. So there was a course in personal finance, which was a lot more on how you manage your money, how do you, think about savings, investment, and all of those things. So I think that was also very, very eye-opening for me. And now that we are all working professionals, so some of those things I have been able to use as a starting ground to also strategize and think about my savings and investments. So yeah, I think that was also very nice.
Yeah, thank you for that, Pratima. I think that fleshes it out quite well. Sheen, I hope that answers your question as well. This is right now, we have last one from Nitika, then Ananya can take it up. If someone is drawing a package of 8 lakhs per annum and have a work experience of 4 years, still doing this course will help further in career growth in terms of both package and learning. Pratima, you can take this first, then maybe I can add on to it.
Yeah, sure. Just give me a second. I'm just doing one calculation. Yeah. So see, I think this role you can get salary hike is not an issue. As I mentioned, that doing a certificate will not hinder your chances of getting transition or getting good hike. If I were to take my own example, I got more than 100% hike, and I was like I had a similar app package, if not more or less, and I had 2.5 years of experience before I joined Vedica. So of course, Vedica had helped me get more than 100% high. And just to give you a sense, right, even after that, in the last 2-3 years, I was able to get like almost double, triple my package, right? So I think that is not a constraint. And I don't think anybody should think about their job and career purely from the package standpoint. That is important. But if you have the right skills, if you can do a job well, then you can sort of get the best in market, because then people know that you are the one getting the job done, you are the one who they can sort of vouch on. So then you don't have any ceilings on how much you can earn. So I don't think you should think that as a priority while you're deciding for the programs. Your package or job, whatever the number that you're looking at, should be the byproduct. You should try and focus on the learning and skills. Once you get that, I don't think that's a that will I mean, that will not even be a problem going forward. If you know the right skills, if you have the right skills, you can draw maximum whatever the market brings up.
Thank you, Pratima, and I hope that answers your question, Nitika. I think I will give the mic to Ananya now, and you can take this forward.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thanks, Sheen, Nikita, all of you for your questions. So also, Pratima, just to understand that, of course, we know about your journey, and you've spoken about how you did your transition and how, initially there was a little bit of exploration. So in this entire journey, how did Vedika fit in A, and how did you arrive at, choosing Vedika, and why Vedika over a traditional MBA course? That's the first point. And also, in this journey where you are right now, you seem very collected and you seem happy about the kind of workspace you are in, industry wise also. How do you see, Vedika's contribution? How has it enabled you to be where you are right now?
Got it, got it. So I think I'll tackle the question in a different order. So I'll answer why Vedika over any other traditional MBA program, right? So I think from now my experience, you would know that I was not looking for a master's degree per se. So that was not a criteria, because if degree was the thing, I would have just continued in my master's and completed it. So I think after those two dropouts, I was very particular about the kind of work that I want to do, and the second is whatever I need to learn to do my job well and be effective. So that was my guiding principle at that point in time. So I was not at all concerned about preparing for another exam like CAT and GMAT and get into traditional MBA. I was not at all charting that for myself. The reason was simple. I was looking for a certain learnings for myself, and it could be different for different people. For me, it was more about getting more mentorship. I was lacking mentorship, industry mentorship. I was looking to for program who can help me develop myself professionally, help me gain my confidence back. The third thing that I was also looking for, like communication, negotiation, because these are some of the things that I realized while I was working as a teacher also in my first year that are very important. So I was looking for some of those things to sort of if somebody can help me get better at it. And I think that is when I was thinking, I was actually researching about a lot of programs, and I also, few of my friends also done Young India Fellowship. There's another program, and they also mentioned that, okay, this is something that has emerged and you should explore it. And when I looked at the program, the curriculum, I felt that I don't need to even look at traditional MBAs, because I was not looking for MBA at all. I was looking for uh, gaining and acquiring skills that will help me do better at my current work. I mean, not current, but professionally, that can help me do better. So that is how I happened to got into Vedica, like got to know Vedica. And once I looked at the curriculum, I looked at the kind of mentorship opportunities that Vedica offers, the kind of curriculum, courses, the way it is designed. I've also looked at some of the speakers, faculty profiles who will be teaching and being a part of the program. I felt that, this is more than enough for me to, now it is on me, the onus is on me to get the best out of the program. The program is positioned in a way that will really help me solve the problem that I'm looking for. So I think that was the driving factor, and that is why I chose Vedica over any other traditional program, and I'm very happy about it. Not at all. Never had a second thought about it. Very happy that I chose Vedica. The second thing that I want to, you wanted to understand that how Vedica has sort of helped me, right, professionally and all of those things. So I think as I mentioned that I keep going back to some of the things that I learned in Vedica through courses, or even through my discussions with my program mentor. So with Jaslyn was my program mentor back then. She was somebody. So I remember one of my conversation with her vividly when I was talking about things that are not going well for me, and I was just focusing a lot more on my weaknesses and not something that I was anyway good at. And she sort of really helped me pull me out of that whole zone. And she was like, you are there, out of these 50 things, 45 are going right for you, and you are still sort of just cribbing about those 5 things, and all of your time and energy is just going into fixing things that are not you will not even think about it 5 years down the line. So I think that that kind of framework really helped me. So even now when I get some kind of tension, some kind of stress to my work, I look at it that way, that okay, this is looks like a bigger problem today, but will I think about it 2 years down the line or even 1 year down the line? And I won't. And then immediately I just take it as one to do thing to get done with it. So I think that so I think these are small things that had really changed me as a person, I would say. And I was somebody who was open. I came with an open mind. I felt that I everything, because I was from the engineering background and then little bit experience in teaching and education. So I felt that whatever I will learn, I will only become better. So I was very open that way. So a lot of these interactions with my mentors, program mentors, even industry mentors had helped me become a very different professional. The way I look at work, the way I look at problems, the way I now. So another example, right, that I want to tell you, which has fundamentally changed me. So I was in. So see, I was a very mathematics, data kind of a person before Vedica. So I used to look at black and white. ये तो या तो सही होगा या गलत होगा. It can't be anything else. So and then we are discussing case studies. I used to always tell, oh, but why are you thinking that way? This is wrong approach only. No, this is wrong. And then I used to go to professors saying, okay, I don't know why people are not thinking that way. This is the. Then he's like, see, this is the case study, and it can go any way. There are no right or wrong answer. It's not a mathematics problem. And a lot of things in real world operate in gray. You don't have black and white. So I think it took me a while and a lot of I would say like in various courses in my experience, even while I was interacting with Vedica. And I have forgotten to add one important part, right? My batchmates. So they came from a very very different background. They were not like me at all. And I think they have also helped me become a person that I am today, because a lot of my interactions used to happen with them over classroom, in hostel, and all of those places. They have made me help me transition from that black and white person to gray. So I think that is also something that has helped me become a very different person, because if you come with a very rigid mindset and you start working professionally, it will be very difficult. But only when you have this flexibility in your head that not everything is right or wrong, you have to look at other person's perspective. And also the context. A lot of nothing in absolute terms is right or wrong. It's also context that a lot of times we miss out on. So I think all of these things really helped me. Vedica has helped me. I would say it has changed my mindset. It has changed my thought process. Of course, skills and all, I as talked about through courses, through soft skills, all of those has definitely developed. But I think fundamentally, I feel that I've become a very different person when it comes to thought process, when it comes to my mindset. And I think that's a change that is going to stay with me forever, not just in upGrad, not just in ABC company. It has sort of helped me change like as a person, I would say. So I think Vedika, like a lot of gratitude for the program, and want to give back, of course, to the program as well in whatever capacity that I can through these webinars or otherwise also. But really learned a lot through the program. So that was the second thing. I think the third part you were mentioning, Ananya, was about how Vedika has sort of fitted into the overall things that I'm doing, right? How the Vedika had position. So I think the Vedika has now, of course, there are a lot of learnings that I take that I sort of draw from the program. But I think during the time, what Vedika has really helped me is opening up a lot of opportunities for me. So in the 18 months that I was in, of course, there was enormous opportunities for us to connect with whoever we wanted to in the industry, whoever we wanted to speak to in any of the role, any of the company. So I think those opportunities were always there. I never felt during the program that, okay, this is out of my reach or this is impossible. Like the only constraint was that I had to put myself in that, okay, this is what I want and this is the person I want to connect with, or this is the opportunity that I want. And the program team has almost always helped me get there. So I think the Vedika at the initial transition, I think that is how the Vedika has specifically helped me open up a lot of opportunities for me to explore and to also get into. So I've never felt that there's a dearth of opportunities, I would say.
That's fantastic. I think very insightful, Pratima. Thank you for sharing. So exciting to hear, when an alum really speaks like this, almost feels like having a brand ambassador who's just here to talk about Vedika. So thank you very much for that. And given that Kunal and I myself also, like Kunal's been here longer than me, but still, we've been here for such a short while, but the kind of, conviction you have in the program, it's amazing. I think really thank you. It kind of reinstills our own faith in what we're doing every single day.
It's, I think, a lot. I mean, I can just go on and on for days because there are so many learnings, and I think people need to just come with an open mindset. Because if you will just come with just closed mindset, knowing that no, I only want to learn finance and I'll go there, because that is how I was when I joined. No, I only want to get a product role. I only want to get finance role. I don't know what kind of limitations we put ourselves in, and then start looking at everything from that lens. I think if we become open, then things become really useful. And
Right.
a lot of things, yeah.
Amazing. So I think there's an interesting question which I think is directly much more than Vedika. I think it's looking at this person's career, and I think it'll be fantastic for you to answer. Kunal, would you like to take it on? And it's Alia Kapoor. I'm so excited.
Hi. So Alia's also asked a few questions on YouTube, which I've already answered you there, Alia. So definitely have a look on your chat on YouTube. But this question here is, I'd like to look into my career possibilities. I previously worked in EdTech, but I'm interested in marketing. Will this be a barrier, and will I be perceived as a newbie during placements? Pratima, if you have an opinion on this, you can take this, or else I think I can also say something about it.
Got it. So I think I can speak from a collective experience of my batchmates when we were going through this transition, right? A lot. So there are all kind of things that happen, right? So Ali, could you help me understand which role are you in the edtech currently? Maybe you can just put on the chat box if you're still there.
Ali, you can also unmute yourself and share with us on call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mentor and content creator.
Got it, got it. No, so I think then that is not a problem. I'll tell you, see, it's all about how you position yourself, what kind of story you build in, and the story has to be authentic, of course. But how do you position your experience? I think a lot more depend on that. So, for example, marketing, right? There are two, three kind of things. There's branding, there is content marketing, there's program marketing. A lot of different topics are there within marketing also. So, depending upon which part of it you want to get into. And so, for example, content creation you mentioned, right? You have experience in content creation. So marketing is also a lot about thinking, ideating about content strategy. So it's also about how you position your experience in a way that it aligns with marketing as a field which you want to get in. So this answers your question around whether you'll pursue it as newbie. I don't think so. If as long as you can look at some links that sort of gives an interviewer an opportunity to see how your content creation experience has really helped as a marketing. For example, mentor, right? I can sort of try and answer that upfront. So if you were in the mentorship roles, I'm assuming that maybe you are mentoring a set of students or things like that. So you can actually think about this as a story where you can say that you understand users better. And marketing is also a lot about psychology, understanding users. So from your content creation and mentor, two of your things have already you've worked on in a different capacity, but at least you understand users, you understand their pain points, you can sort of speak to them in their language. Content creation, of course, is a part of marketing, any of the verticals that you want to get in. So your experience is not at all irrelevant, it is relevant. You just need to build a story around it so that it aligns with the marketing as a role. That is one. So it's of course not a newbie. The second thing is, as you mentioned, you were working in edtech, will it be hindrance? No. So edtech is basically, for example, e-commerce, fintech, edtech, right? All of these are different industries. So for example, if I am doing program management in edtech, if I tomorrow want to get into a program management role in fintech, no, it won't be a dead end because a lot of these skills are transferable. So you need to convince the other person that you have the skills and the transferable skills. Once you know the context, once you know the knowledge of the other industry, you can easily transition and you can do a good job. So I don't think that will be a problem at all. And in my experience of seeing the placement of my batchmates also while I was in Vedica, I see a lot of people transition. So in my case, it just happened that I was from the education industry and then I just got a better role in edtech after Vedica. But a lot of people actually changed their career. They've changed their trajectory altogether. There were people who were in, so there was this one friend of mine who was also a teacher like me. And after that, she wanted to get into a sales role. She got into a very good sales role in one of the pharmaceutical companies. There was this another girl who actually was earlier working in as a law, right? She was a lawyer, she was working in that space. And then she wanted to get into consulting. She got that transition. So it is a lot about how you position your current experience or the previous experience and then just learn those skills that are needed. And I don't think that is such a big problem. But yeah, I think Kunal, you can also add if there's anything more to it.
Yeah. So, can you hear me? Am I audible? Right. So when you're looking into a career change from edtech to marketing or anything, there are going to be certain courses at Vedica that you're going to be studying. Depending on how you interacted with these courses, what kind of things you learned and how you applied them in your projects, or what kind of there are also internship opportunities, what you did in your shadow. These are all going to play a big part in how you shape your experience at Vedica to help you tune into a job role that is in marketing. So it can't, it's not that you will magically get into a marketing role. You have to put some efforts and you have to be deliberate about it, which is also something I think Pratima hinted on. So while it's not out of the ambit of consideration, but it will not land in your lap. You have to work towards this as well, which is something you need to realize. Placements are a two-way street. You need to put in some work as well for the job role and the job company that you're looking for. It's not just going to fall from the sky, right? You have to make that kind of effort. One more, I guess, a less serious question, I think, Pratima, for you, but something that'll need you to dig into your memory. What were your major learnings in the 18 months, which you've spoken about a lot, but you can, instead of that, you can say, what are some of the favorite memories from in the earlier days?
Got it. Um, I think one was my Kesla experience. So we had, I think, an immersion, so to say, to a place called Kesla in Madhya Pradesh. So where we were to sort of go there and explore how like people in the rural setting sort of work, collaborate. Women over there work, collaborate, and look at their systems, ecosystem, learn from them. So we made a visit from Delhi to Madhya Pradesh and Kesla. So I think that whole experience of being there around those women and sort of a lot of fun we had over there. So I think that was like a very good memory. And although I'm also from Madhya Pradesh, I've never explored Kesla as a place before that trip. So that was wonderful. I think the second one I would say there was this. Uh, a Christmas celebration that we have had, right? So we got a chance to interact with Anuradha, Pramath, a lot of people, not professionally, but also in a very informal setting. So I think that helped us sort of break that boundary and sort of really be open with them and sort of speak to them about everything that we wanted to sort of speak about. So I think that was a very good event and a lot of lovely memories from there. I think the third one is during the placement time, right? So everybody used to be very, very stressful, worrisome about, okay, whether it will happen, not happen. And I think that when there is like a lot of stress, people also sometimes go into all sort of directions which they shouldn't otherwise. So I think that is when I think in one of the just before one of these interviews, I just randomly took a trip to Himachal with two of my friends, batchmates, randomly. Like there was this placements and everything planned, and we were like, okay, let's just go. It was not Himachal actually; it was Uttarakhand. So that was very, very, very refreshing and. A lot of good times we spent over there. We promised each other that we will do another trip, but it had never happened. But that was a very good this thing. So yeah, I think these were a couple of things that I still remember. Of course, I had a roommate from my batch, so a lot of fun times that we have had other than studies and other than academics. So those were also a memorable one. So I think overall, staying in the hostel in with my batchmates and of course my seniors, I think that was really nice.
Thanks, Pratima. That was from someone on YouTube, so we can't see her. So, over to you, Ananya.
Great. So I think we're already like almost at the fag end of our webinar now. But Pratima, I think so nice. I think I love the way that you went all out and really shared from your life, about your experience at Vedica and also overall. Yeah. I think maybe we could do another either video interview with you when you're visiting Delhi or, another webinar to explore. I think something which I really wanted you to speak about to us was the space of the edtech industry by and large, right? But maybe we could do like another webinar which kind of talks about the edtech industry. And by then you would have also worked for some more time at upGrad and you could give us much more insights on that as well. Yeah, would that be okay?
Yeah, we can definitely anytime we can do a follow-up or a second webinar on edtech. I can more than happy to also help in just randomly coming and helping people with any of the courses, etc. Also something that suddenly my teacher stinked away. But yeah, I can help with all sort of things. Yeah.
Right. Certainly. So anyone over here, in case you have any questions, like as a follow-up or later on you want to also reach out to Pratima, to any of the other alums also, please feel free to write to us. Yeah. I think that's something brilliant about the alum community, that they want to be and they're collectively trying to, reach out, help, answer for. I already understand from the alums that many of them get a lot of direct calls trying to understand about Vedica. So I think that would really
out on LinkedIn also, and but I think their apprehensions or their curiosity is only obvious.
Certainly. Yeah. Thank you so much. It was so wonderful listening to you. And thank you, everyone. So, just before we close, I see Sana, Preeti, and I think Chandana have not asked us anything or shared anything. So, before we wrap up in the last 2 minutes, is there anything you all want to ask or share?
Because they're the shy ones today, so let's not push them further. I think the questions might have been answered by other people as well.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming here. I think I'm interacted with at least 3 to 4 of you here. I recognize a few of your names, and I think you've already been part of the interview process or at least completed an application, which is great. At the end, I would just like to remind that round 4 applications are going to close. So if you have not completed your application yet, please do that so that you can fast track your processes. And we have already swarmed with a lot of applications. It's taking a lot of time. The sooner you do it, the better for you and for me. So I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Fatima, today for being part of this. Thanks for answering all these questions. For anyone who wanted to be a part of this and your friend or family, you can look out for the video on YouTube later next week or maybe on this weekend. You can see a notification. Do subscribe to our channel so you'll keep finding more and more information like this. And thank you so much, Ananya, for organizing this.
Thanks so much, Kunal. Thank you, Pratima. Thanks everyone for joining. Take care. Bye bye.
See you and have a great evening.
Bye bye. Have a great
Bye.